ever since I got the Himalayan, I've only been asked one question. Ben, why is it that you talk about the Himalayan as if it's the only motorcycle that can do it all? And why is it that you speak so highly of it? Makes us wonder if you will ever get another motorcycle. But then I have never really found the reason to talk about it or address it. It's because I don't function on opinions of others. I function on inferences, realizations, and my instincts and my intuitive qualities. I don't count on somebody else's opinion of something. I count on what I can feel when I hold that very same thing in my hand. So I'm being very, very precise with my words. I need to feel something to be able to believe in it. Yeah, so today is going to be something that I have not done in this channel so far. 105 videos and I haven't made a single video on all the negative aspects of the Himalayan. I haven't really complained about the motorcycle, which is not going well with a lot of guys. Here goes my list of things that are wrong with the motorcycle. I have made some well, I can talk about the good things with the motorcycle in one go, but not the bad things. It's because I don't function that way. I like to see the good things first and then the bad things. I don't work the other way around. I always find good in people, and I truly put all my energy into the goodness of someone and not the negative traits of someone. So that's how it is with everything in my life. Whatever it is that I own, I try and look for the good in it and stop complaining about the bad, or I do something about the bad. So here goes. So the first thing is the headlight, and I could go on and on about the headlight. The lack of throw on the road is just a simple fix. You need to loosen these bolts on both the sides and just tilt it forward. I have put some rubber cushions in between the bolts so my headlight can move freely. It takes the shock and I can position it to where I want, and it will do a good job. So that's the angle of the headlight. But then again, the throw, the bulb did not do enough justice. In the city it's perfectly fine, but out on the highways that is just not cutting it for you. So what you see in there is a Cyclops LED. I just made a video on the same. You guys can go check that out if you haven't. Once I put that on, that was the start and end of it. No worries. I had a decent throw on the highways as well, and I could just do with that. And I also have a spot lamp here which works with the forks. So when I twist my handlebars, I have the spot lamp hitting the road instead of this headlight that's always pointed straight. So that's as far as the headlight is concerned. I would definitely recommend all of you guys to upgrade to a better bulb or an LED bulb, and that will be a solution. Moving on to instrument cluster fogging. This has been an issue since day one, and I have found out certain things about it which will definitely come in handy for a lot of you guys. I've made a dedicated video on how to shove in a silica pack into this and letting it sit there so that it absorbs all the excess moisture that gets formed inside this. And in that video you will also see me use silicone on the seam so that it sits well and there is no leak. But all said and done, what's more important is never to have this sitting in the hot sun. The hot sun tends to start cracking the glass. I don't know if the camera catches it. If you guys can see towards the edge, you will see 2-3 cracks develop. This plastic is not weatherproof. Yes, it is to some extent, but the direct sunlight, especially in countries like India and the tropical regions where the intensity of the sun is high, do not keep the bike in the hot sun. At least put something on top of the instrument cluster so that the plastic doesn't crack. That's more important. A bit of vapor inside can be managed with all sorts of things. You can drill holes here and there so that the vapor escapes, or put a silica pack like how I did. But the more important stuff is to not keep it in the hot sun. So that's another problem that I was faced with. Going on to engine stalling, just made a video on that. My engine doesn't stall. Yes, it did stall from the factory. I learned how to use the machine, one. Number two, definitely the lean air fuel mixture is a bit of a problem. I would like to add one thing to the lean air fuel mixture part of it. The mixture is only lean until 3000 RPMs, maybe 2500 to 3k RPMs, and that's it. After that, the fueling is pretty neat, pretty good. I have done plug jobs on higher RPMs, and the plugs seem to be running okay. They are not on the lean side nor on the rich side, but they are perfectly fine for whatever speed you want to hold it at. 80 kilometers an hour and above on 5th gear is absolutely no problems. You can hold it. It isn't a lean machine at the top end of the spectrum, but on the bottom end, the 1500 RPM to 3k RPM, you have a very, very lean mixture, and that is the reason why your machine stalls during the day when you start. And then once you have it nice and warm and you've been rolling for quite some time, it stops stalling. And getting a booster plug like how it is in the West, or a POWERTRONIC ECU like how it is in here in India, puts an end to the stalling issue. And if you understand air fuel ratio, and if you understand volumetric efficiency, and if you understand how to get all of it going in favor in the long run, keep in mind, for the long run, not for a short spin, because you want to use this motorcycle for touring, and touring is hundreds and hundreds of kilometers at one go. And the last thing you want is an overly rich mixture or an overly lean mixture. You should be somewhere in the middle of the range, and that comes with experience, how to go about fine-tuning the air fuel ratio. Yeah, clutch free play. This is another thing that many of you will not understand in the beginning. You might think that just because the service manual says a certain free play, that's what it is all about, but it isn't. You will have to fine-tune the clutch free play and understand what works for you best. I have also mentioned in some of my videos to go about using this as a reference point and not this. So if you can shove in something in here which is about 2 to 2.5 mm wide, then that's a decent measurement, or that's a decent reference point for you to know that your clutch free play is good. But then again, another important thing, a word of advice, is kindly do not do a half clutch with this motorcycle. This clutch doesn't work with a half clutch. You need to have a full clutch system on this with just a tiny bit of a play, and that is what's going to keep the life of the clutch healthy. If you ride around with half a clutch, then you're burning your clutch plates a little too soon. Moving on to a weak handlebar. Yes, I've made videos on the handlebar, and the first thing that I changed was the handlebar. I got myself a KTM Duke 390 handlebar, and of course to mount it I have handlebar risers. Handlebar risers are a subjective topic. This is to do with ergonomics, how I sit on the motorcycle, and how I need it for my comfort. But yes, the Duke 390 handlebar doesn't go into our stock perch. This handlebar cannot sit here. It can only sit on a handlebar riser, and you need to do some customization to the spacers in the handlebar riser to accommodate the extra width in the center. This is about 1 inch wide in the center and tapers to 22 mm regular sized handlebars on the sides. So yep, so that's my handlebar which is replaced. It's because the stock one is nothing but cheese. Moving on to another problem, which was this. a narrow side stand. I could never trust this side stand to hold the weight of the motorcycle in off-road terrain. So I got myself this fellow, a side stand extender, and that's done the job for me. I can rest my motorcycle anywhere, trusting that fellow, not the side stand. That takes care of the load, and it's a wide platform, so I don't have to worry about the side stand digging in. Front mud guard. The front mud guard sat a little too low on this motorcycle, and it grabbed everything and anything, and like if I were to do a long run on this, all of this would get stuck in between the mud guard and the tire, and it would start locking the front wheel. So I had to do things. I had to get rid of the mud guard. I tried all sorts of things, but then finally ended up with a setup like this. I made myself a high fender, and I have a dedicated video on that as well, so kindly go check that out. Another problem solved. The front suspension was nothing but too soft for my comfort. It was a little too bouncy, so I had to fix that. I mean, the rebound was crazy. It was too springy, if you ask me. And it's good if you are just doing rides on your own, and you do a bit of an off-road every now and then. But then if you start using the bike on off-road terrain, like you do dedicated rides on weekends, and then you really want to take on all possible terrain, then the best thing to do with your front suspension is either get stiffer springs or get more viscous oil. And I run a 20W module in this, and that solves the whole thing. I have spoken in detail about how much oil to add, and I've also made a video on fork oil replacement, so kindly go check that out. That's another problem, too soft a suspension to take on bumps, and fixed. Creaking suspension at the rear. Your suspension isn't creaking. If the suspension starts making noise, it's not the suspension. It's a problem with either no lubrication here or no lubrication in the suspension linkage system. So get that fixed. I've made dedicated videos on this as well, on this subject as well. Kindly go check that out. Get all of it cleaned and lubed, and nothing to worry. Weak front brakes. Oh man, oh man, oh man. Himalayan straight out of the factory. At least till the BS4 version was nothing but crappy spongy wooden brakes, and the solution to it is to bleed the system really well and get yourselves sintered brake pads. I have a sintered brake pad. A semi-sintered brake pad will also do you good. I have made a video on the same. Kindly go watch that. So sintered brake pads are a world of a difference when you talk braking, and that will put an end to your front brake issues. It will grab, it will hold, and you'll be surprised at the bite. The back brake locking. If the back brake locks and jams, then the only thing that you need to do is adjust the free play here. I have it at a little too tight. Is because I don't mind the locking. I enjoy the locking, and when I do a lot of off-road, I do intend on using the rear brake as more like a radar, more like with the slides I also gain a bit of an angle. So yes, adjust the free play and keep playing around with this. Loosen these bolts, loosen this bolt and go up and down with the lever, and try and get to a point which is comfortable for you. That's it. There's nothing more to it. If the back brake jams, just keep playing with the free play, and you will come to a spot where you will be able to press your foot down and your wheel will not lock up. Okay, another thing about the headlamp is this crappy plastic housing. This little thing here, this thing that holds the headlamp in place, is made up of really horrible material. Every single crash of mine, I've had this plastic crack here and there as well. Minor cracks develop, major cracks develop, and I've made a video on plastic welding. I've welded and fixed those, but then again, I intend on getting myself something which is of a higher quality, or I will get it done with some aftermarket headlamp casing or cowl. I'll get one, I'll modify it to to fit my headlamp, and also fit in between these rails, or tank guards, or whatever it is that you want to call this fellow here. So that's another problem. I've made a video on how to weld and fix the cracks, but that is not the solution. The solution is to get yourself something which is a far greater build quality. And yes, that's another problem that I've faced. This is my second housing or casing. Paint and rust. So for all the fellows who have a problem with rusting on your motorcycles, the best solution is to get yourself a silicone spray, spray it all over on all the parts, ride for as long as you want, get the whole bike dirty, clean it thoroughly, and then go in with another coat. Repeat the process, and your paint is definitely going to not get corroded or chipped away. Rust formation can be controlled. Silicone spray is the solution. I've made 2 or 3 videos on that, and kindly give it a shot, and you will see a big difference. My motorcycle is 3.5 years old now, and I've never really had to worry about my paint. Yes, on the wheels I do go in with a coat every now and then. It's because I do off-road stuff, and this tends to take a toll on the wheels. So yes, I do the painting for the wheels every now and then, but apart from that, I've never really bothered about the rest of the paint. Water in the tank. If water gets into your tank, it's only because of that drain hole that you haven't fixed, you haven't taken care of. And what's most important is that you open your drain hole. What's most important is that you keep this portion nice and clean. Look at mine. And kindly do see to it that you burst, you use WD-40 or something like a degreaser once in a while into that hole there, and clean that area. Once you do that, you will never have any problems with your fuel. No water will seep in. Water will definitely flow through. Hard clutch. Again, the hard clutch can be the next problem is the hard clutch, and the best solution for this is to apply grease into your cable every now and then, maintain it well, or like I've made a dedicated video on dry lubing. Get yourself some graphite powder and lube the cables, and you will feel a world of a difference in the grab of the lever, and you will easily be able to use 2 fingers to shift. So that's another problem that I was faced with, for which this is the solution. Tires. Yep. This is something that I've been wanting to talk for a really long time. Tires are something that make for the biggest difference in the ride quality, and it's a highly subjective matter. Road tires, dual purpose tires, like how the Royal Enfield claims their Seat tires to be, or for the West it's the Pirelli. I don't know if it's the MT75 or not. Any which ways, it's your Pirelli versus our Seat. It's the same pattern. So it's just a question of what you want for where you ride at. So if you are somebody who does a lot of off-road riding, then trust me guys, there's nothing like the knobbies. It will make a pro out of an amateur in no time. But if you're willing to learn, you may be intimidated by the knobby tires on the roads. It's because this is a learning curve. I could go on and on about the tires, so I'm just summing it up in one sentence. Get the tires that inspire confidence in you. If you are somebody who does off-road, get off-road tires. They help you a lot become a better rider. If you're somebody who's all about the roads, then get road bias tires. They will inspire more confidence, and that's how you're going to learn. The important part of it is the front, not the rear. The rear is just to give you grip to roll, but the front is what determines whether you come back home safe or not. And I had to get knobby tires in the front is because I wanted my front to stay put. You know, every time you do off-road, there's a tendency of the front to touch and jump and keep moving. And you do not want a soft tire to jump and then land on the ground, and then when you're a little bit on the brakes, slide. You want a front that grabs. Every single time it touches, it has a contact patch. It touches, you want it to grab, you want it to dig in. And so that is why I got myself a knobby tire. Yes, these tires are tricky on road, but then with some keen learning, you will be able to manage really well on road as well. No problems. I've not had any problems with them on road as well. Soft seat. Again, I've made a dedicated video on this. I've managed to fix it with another layer of padding on top right about here till about this zone, and that seems to have done it for me. I don't dig deep into the seat, and I don't have any issues even on longer trips. So that's done it for me. What else? Oil leaking from the head gasket. Again, the first problem that I faced was on this motor was oil leaking from here because of these two bolts. And what I did was I replaced the factory bolts to longer ones, and they grab better. So that was an end to a worry. I reduced the width of the washer as well. I've made a dedicated video on this subject. Go watch it and do the same on your motorcycles, and you will never develop another leak here again. Okay, detonation, pinging, knocking, all the jazz, all the crap that you keep hearing. Again, attributed to a lean air fuel mixture. Get yourself something like a piggyback ECU and you will not have any problems with any of that. 1. 2, if your engine develops noise, then there are some dedicated videos that I've made on that as well. Go check that out and you will know what are the various things that you can do to get rid of engine noise. Poor quality battery, what comes from the factory, Royal Enfield, crap, Exide. Out of every 5 batteries, 1 is faulty. Many of my friends have owned Himalayans. They've gone for battery replacements within 6 months, within a year. And I too had to go through that. I got myself an Amaron battery. That is a local manufacturer in India who does a fantastic job of making batteries. Get yourself an Amaron and that will be the end of all your battery woes. Wind buffeting. What you see here is a windshield extender. Again, because I stand at 5 feet 10 and a half, I am at a disadvantage with this particular motorcycle. Wind hits me right in my eye. It hits me right in my eye, and I just can't help it. I do like the look of the motorcycle with the visor, so I did not want to chop it down and all that jazz. I got myself a windshield extender, and that did the trick for me. It solved my issue. Another dedicated video on the subject, go check that out. As far as this particular plastic piece is concerned, I have cut this out myself, so you will not be able to find this this exact same model anywhere online. There is a universal model that is being sold, which I will add a link to in this video. You can buy that and you can do what I've done. I've gone ahead and cut the acrylic out to best fit the aesthetics of the motorcycle. So if you guys can do it as well, please go ahead and do it. Someday I'll make a video on how to go about cutting acrylic and getting it to the shape that you desire. Yep, pressure building up in the gas tank. Another crappy problem with the Himalayan is pressure building up in the gas tank. Only because of the evap system that you find in the skid plate. Get rid of the evap system and you will not have any problems after that. stalling to a great deal will also be controlled if you get rid of the evap system. So another dedicated video on the subject, we'll add a link, go watch it. Rusting rims. Rims rust from the inside. So what I do is every time I open up these tires for a puncture, to fix a puncture, I go in with a coat of paint from the inside, and that seems to take care of it. I've not really changed my rims ever since I got the motorcycle, and they seem to be doing really well. It's just because I just scrape the rust away, do a primer coat and do 2 coats of paint, and every single time I go in for a puncture, to fix a puncture, I do this. This is a religious thing that I do, and that saves me all the trouble. My rims are as solid as they were when they came out of the factory. Yeah, last but not the least, the biggest problem with a Royal Enfield motorcycle is the availability of spares. Spares is a big problem with this bike. You will not find spares for 3/4 of it readily available as and when you want it to be. So how do you go about fixing it? Preventive maintenance is key. Than spoiling things and then going in for a replacement and waiting forever and ever for the parts to turn up, and then for the service center to start working on your machine, and by the time you get your machine back, you have lost all interest in it. So preventive maintenance is key. Kindly understand the importance of preventive maintenance and do a good job. I have made at least 50 videos on how to maintain your motorcycle. Do a good job of maintaining your motorcycle, and I promise you, you will not have to go to the service station at all. Do everything as and when required, and then see to it that you have a little bit of a concern, care and attention go into the motorcycle, and this will not let you down. It's a fantastic motorcycle, all metal, very few plastic bits here and there, and even if you have hundreds of falls, you can just take a hammer and get things back to shape. Extremely well engineered and designed, and very well built also. It's just that the assembly here and there is a bit dodgy, but that can also be fixed if you had the ability to identify the problem in the first place. Please watch my videos, maintenance videos particularly, and maintain your motorcycle and be on terrain like this. Come on rides and just have the best time of your life. Don't use this motorcycle to go to your work and come back home. I'm talking about the guys in India. Our roads are crap. It's already a lean burn engine. It's running extremely lean in the lower RPMs. Do not use it to commute along, to commute to work, and then call it a crappy motorcycle. It doesn't work well. So please use it for what it is built for, and then see the difference. Go on long trips, you will love the Himalayan. Go off-roading, you will love the Himalayan. Ride it in the city to work every day in cities like all the metropolitan cities in India, and you will start cursing the motorcycle in no time. As simple as that. So that's another piece of advice. If somebody stands to benefit from this, I'll be more than happy. So that's me on another weekend ride with all the flaws of my machine. It was very hard for me to put it out like this, but then again, if it helps, it helps. That's all there is that I have to say. So I would be back on my track. So I'll be back on my track, getting back home, and again through this beautiful, vast, scenic landscape. Let's get back home. Fantastic exploring sessions. Oh.